After paying off my sister's credit cards and letting her stay rent-free for a year, I came home to find my safe broken into and my emergency fund gone. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You always had more than me. This just makes it fair." I didn't say a word. 2 days later, I called someone from her past she never thought I'd. I'm not a writer. I work on engines, not emotions. But this needs to be told. Because sometimes the people closest to you don't just betray you. They steal from you and smile while doing it. I'm 38 years old. My name's Curtis. I live in Springfield, Missouri. I've been a diesel mechanic since I was 19, straight out of high school. Never liked school, but I'm damn good with my hands. Fixed up my first truck at 16, bought my house at 29, and except for a couple bad dates, I've lived alone with my dog Duke ever since. Until my sister Trina showed up. Trina's 5 years younger than me. We were tight as kids. We had to be. Our mom was a mess. Bounced from man to man, dragging us from town to town. No stability, no money. Most days, it was me looking after Trina while Mom was off chasing whatever loser she thought would fix our lives. That never happened. I fed Trina when we had barely anything. I lied to teachers about why she wasn't in school. I shielded her from the worst of it. When I got my first job washing cars at 14, I used that cash to buy groceries for both of us. So yeah, I always felt responsible for her. And maybe that's where all this started. As we got older, we drifted. I kept working, saved every dollar, lived simple. Trina went the other way, never held a job longer than a few months, always chasing some opportunity that somehow ended with her needing help again. Every few years she'd call, crying about getting evicted, or needing money to fix her car, or asking for a place to stay, just for a little while. I always helped. Not because I'm a saint, because she's my sister. Because I remember her in pigtails clutching my hand while our mom screamed at some drunk guy in the living room. Then, last year, she called again. Only this time she sounded different. Hollow. Like she'd already given up. Said she was living in Arkansas, got fired from a waitressing job, evicted again, couch surfing at some guy's house who was getting weird and she didn't know what to do. Said she hadn't eaten in 2 days. I told her to come home. I said I'd cover gas if she needed it. I told her the guest room was hers, no questions asked. I even took a couple days off work to get the room cleaned out, made sure she had clean sheets, fresh towels, a decent pillow. I stocked the fridge. When she showed up, I almost didn't recognize her. She looked bad, thin, twitchy, chain-smoking. She talked fast, avoided eye contact, and laughed too loud at nothing. I didn't want to say the word, but I thought, meth. Or something like it. But I didn't press. I told myself she just needed time. She stayed. Days turned into weeks, then months. I didn't charge her rent. I paid for food, gas, internet, phone, everything. I figured she'd get back on her feet and get a job eventually. She didn't. She said no one was hiring. Said she was too old. Said she'd applied everywhere. I didn't see her leave the house more than twice a week. Most of the time, she was either watching reality shows or sleeping. Then she hit me with the credit card story. For cards. Maxed out. $14,000 total. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "Kurt, I'm drowning. I just need a way out. I swear I'll pay you back. I just don't know how to start." I should have said no. I should have told her to figure it out like I did. But I remembered her as a scared little girl clutching my hand. So I took out a personal loan and paid off every card. $14,317.12. She cried, hugged me like she meant it, and said, "This is the beginning. I promise I'm going to change." That was my second mistake. Fast forward almost a year. No job. No effort. She was basically a roommate who didn't pay, didn't clean, and barely acknowledged me anymore. Just walked around in my old t-shirts, helped herself to whatever she wanted, and occasionally threw in a fake "thanks, bro." But the day it all snapped was a Thursday in late March. I came home from work around 5:30. Duke didn't greet me at the door, which was weird. I called for him, he came limping from the hallway. That got my gut twisted right away. Then I noticed my bedroom door wide open. I always keep it closed. I walked in and saw the closet light was on. The door to the wall safe, an old but solid lockbox I had bolted inside the drywall, was open. The lock was broken clean off. Tools were still on the floor. Inside that safe was $11,500. All in cash. That was my emergency stash. I saved it over 5 years, odds and ends from side jobs, cash birthday gifts, Stuff I didn't deposit because I liked having something physical in case of disaster. Gone. Every bill. I walked into the kitchen, heart pounding. Trina was standing there with a frozen pizza in her hand like nothing happened. I stared at her. She didn't even flinch. "Did you break into my safe?" I asked. She leaned against the counter and rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "Yeah," she said. "I took the money." No shame. No panic. Just like she was telling me she borrowed a cup of sugar. "Why?" I asked. That's all I could say. She looked at me dead in the eye and said, "You've always had more than me. This just makes it fair." I stood there silent. I felt hollow. I thought I might throw up. I didn't yell. I didn't call her names. I didn't demand she give it back. I just walked out the door, got in my truck, and drove. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I left before she was up. At lunch, I pulled out an old glovebox phone I hadn't used in years. One I kept just in case I ever needed to revisit certain parts of my past. It had one number saved under a name I never thought I'd call again. Lacey, Trina's old best friend. Or maybe her worst enemy, depending on who you ask. They were inseparable in their 20s. Thick as thieves, until one day, something went down that blew their friendship sky high. Trina said Lacey betrayed her. Lacey told me a whole different story one night when she got drunk on my couch years ago. I never told Trina. I stared at the number for 10 minutes. Then I hit call. She picked up. "Curtis?" she said, confused. "Why the hell are you calling me?" I said, "Lacey, it's about Trina. She crossed a line. And I think it's time we talk about what really happened between you two." Lacey went quiet for a long beat. "I knew this day would come," she finally said. I asked her to meet me in person. Somewhere neutral. We chose a diner out by the interstate where truckers usually stop. Less chance of running into anyone who might know us. When I walked in, she was already sitting in a corner booth, sunglasses on, black coffee in front of her, one leg bouncing under the table. Lacey used to be this loud, fiery, get-in-your-face type. But the woman I saw now looked tired. Worn down. Like life had roughed her up the same way it did to Trina, but in different ways. She got straight to it. "Let me guess. She stole from you?" I nodded. Lacey laughed. But it wasn't a happy laugh. More like someone finally hearing what they've been waiting to hear. "She did it to me too," she said. I leaned in. "Tell me everything." And she did. Back when they were about 24, Trina and Lacey were roommates in Tulsa. Lacey had just started managing a bar. She was doing pretty well, had cash saved up, paid the bills on time, even helped Trina with groceries. One day Lacey got called into work early. She left her laptop and her bank logins open. She trusted Trina. They were like sisters. That week, $9,800 disappeared from Lacey's savings. Trina swore up and down she didn't touch it. Said maybe Lacey got hacked. They fought. Screamed. Cops got involved. But nothing stuck. No one could prove anything. Then Lacey found the receipts, Amazon orders, transfers to burner accounts, a one-way bus ticket Trina bought for some loser she'd been secretly seeing. Trina had cleaned her out and used her info to open 2 cards in her name. Lacey tried pressing charges. But Trina had already run off to Little Rock. "I lost my apartment," Lacey said, eyes burning. "I lost my job." And she didn't care. She texted me once. Know what she said? "Guess now we're even." That was over 10 years ago. "You really want to make her pay?" she asked me. I didn't hesitate. "Yes." "Then we need to find someone else. Someone she's scared of. Someone she still owes." She pulled out her phone and scrolled through her contacts. "She ever mentioned Dallas to you?" My stomach dropped. She had. Trina used to date a guy named Dallas Reed back in 2015. I only met him once. Shady-looking guy. Gold chains. Drove a car way too expensive for a guy with no job. Trina said he was in promotions. I always figured that meant drugs. One day she stopped mentioning him. When I asked, she said he got locked up and told me to drop it. "He's out," Lacey said. "And last I heard, she stole from him too. But he doesn't know where she is. Yet." I hesitated. "What if he hurts her?" "She didn't care when she hurt you. Or me. Or anyone else," Lacey said. "You want justice, or you want to keep being her doormat?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Later that night, I waited until Trina was asleep. I went into the garage and looked at what was left of the safe. I didn't care about the cash anymore. It was about what it meant. It was about the way she looked at me like I was stupid for trusting her. Like I deserved it. I called Dallas. The number rang once, then twice, then a gruff voice answered. Who this? I told him who I was. That I was Trina's brother. Long pause. Then, where is she? I gave him my address. 2 days later, I came home to find Trina gone. Not a note. Not a text. Her clothes were gone, so was her phone. I figured she got spooked. Maybe she picked up that someone was looking for her. Or maybe Dallas made his move. But then I noticed something in the trash, torn up receipts from a pawn shop downtown. She sold my tools. My dad's old watch. A signed baseball I'd had since I was 10. She was still robbing me up until the moment she vanished. I called Dallas again. She skipped town, he said. But I've got eyes everywhere. She'll show up. You gonna hurt her? I asked. He laughed. Nah, Curtis. That'd be too easy. Then he hung up. It's been 3 weeks. Trina hasn't come back. But last night I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was a woman. Said she was a social worker in Tulsa. Said someone named Trina Reed showed up at a shelter asking for help. Said she was fleeing an abusive situation. I asked if she gave my number as an emergency contact. The woman said no. She didn't mention me at all. She only found my info because Trina accidentally left behind a document from the loan I took out to pay her credit cards. My name was on it. I asked if she was okay. She's breathing, the woman said. Then she paused. She's also pregnant. Pregnant. That word knocked the wind out of me. I didn't say anything for a while. The woman on the phone kept talking, something about programs and transitional housing. I barely heard her. Pregnant. I asked how far along she was. The woman said Trina told them she was about 3 months in, but they hadn't confirmed anything yet. She also said Trina was jumpy. Paranoid. Kept looking over her shoulder. She didn't trust anyone. Wouldn't give them her real last name at first. She'd used an alias when she checked in, some made-up name, probably one of the fake IDs she used back in the day. The shelter only got my number because of that one piece of paper she left in her bag, a torn copy of the credit card consolidation agreement I'd signed for her a year ago. My name was on the bottom. That's how they found me. I thanked the woman and hung up. Then I sat there in the kitchen, staring at the sink for a long time. If she really was pregnant, then everything changed. Or at least it should have. But I couldn't tell if I felt guilt or just a deeper kind of anger. She'd stolen from me. Lied. Sold my tools. Looked me in the face and said it was just making things fair. And now she was bringing a kid into this? I didn't sleep that night. Next morning, I got a text from Lacey. She's in Tulsa? I hadn't told her yet. I called and told her the rest. About the shelter. About the pregnancy. About the alias. Lacey was quiet for a long time. Then she said this isn't her first pregnancy. I sat up straight. What? She got pregnant back in 2017, Lacey said. With Dallas's kid. She never told you? No, she told me she had a miscarriage. But then a year later, I ran into a girl at a party who said Trina gave a baby up for adoption through some private agency in Kansas City. Cash deal, no paper trail. I didn't know what to say. She only told Dallas it was a miscarriage because he would have fought for custody. And she didn't want that. She wanted out. Now I felt sick. All of it, her lies, the money, the gaslighting, the fake tears, was stacked on top of who she used to be, who I thought she still was. I didn't want to believe it. But it added up. Every bit of it. The next week, strange things started happening. First, I got a letter from the IRS. Trina had used my social security number to file some kind of fake tax return. Said I made way less than I did. She must have done it months ago when I left my paperwork out one weekend in January. Then I got a collections notice for a payday loan in my name. $1,200. I never took one out. Trina had found a way to keep stealing from me long after she was gone. I started locking down everything. Froze my credit. Filed a fraud report. But the damage was already done. It was like financial shrapnel. I kept finding new pieces buried in different corners of my life. I thought about driving to Tulsa. About finding that shelter and confronting her face to face. But something told me not to. Instead, I made a different kind of call. To someone else I hadn't spoken to in years. My Uncle Marvin lives in Oklahoma. He's my dad's half-brother. Retired Army, hard-nosed kind of guy, used to work in private security. When I was younger, he used to scare the hell out of me. Now, he's just the guy I call when I've run out of ideas. I told him everything. He didn't say much. Just grunted and said, send me the name of the shelter. I'll handle it. I asked what he meant. I'm not gonna touch her, he said. But I've got contacts in Tulsa. People who can follow paper trails. She can't hide behind aliases forever. 3 days later, he sent me a text. A name. An address. A man named Carlos Mateo. Early 40s. No social media. Worked under the table for a car detailer in Tulsa. And according to Marvin's contact, Trina had been showing up at his place almost every night since she left the shelter. Carlos had a criminal record, mostly minor stuff. Fraud. Identity theft. One possession charge from 2018. Nothing violent, but enough to raise flags. I looked him up. Nothing recent. No photos. No way to know what kind of guy he really was. Then Marvin said this, she's not just hiding. She's planning something. You need to be ready. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. You need to back off. She's with me now. You want her out of your life? Let it go. You go digging, I come digging. No name. Just that. I called the number. Straight to voicemail. Then I called Lacey. She said, I told you she'd come crawling to someone worse. She always does. Here's the part one didn't expect. A week later, Lacey called me in a panic. You're not gonna believe this, she said. Carlos? He's not some random guy. He used to run scams with Trina in Tulsa years ago. He was the one who taught her how to fake IDs, open accounts, all that crap. And now, she's back with him. Same playbook. She's gonna clean him out just like she did you, me Dallas, everyone. Unless, I asked, unless he gets her first. I didn't know what to do. Do I let her get what's coming? Do I step in and stop it? Or do I make sure both of them go down together? I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I kept playing out different endings in my head. Part of me wanted to just let it burn, let Trina scam the wrong guy and dig her own grave. But something still ate at me. If she really was pregnant and she really was tangled up with this Carlos guy, then this wasn't just about her anymore. It could turn violent. And fast. I talked to Uncle Marvin again. He said the smart play was to wait. Watch. Let her hang herself. But I couldn't. I'd spent over $25,000 between paying off her debt, buying her groceries, covering her bills, and replacing what she stole and pawned. That was my house fund, my retirement, my peace of mind. I wanted it back. Not the money, the power, the dignity. So I made a choice. I started digging. Carlos had used the same name to rent a storage unit on the edge of Tulsa. Lacey had a friend at the company. She got me the unit number. I drove up one Saturday afternoon and waited in my truck. Around 4 p.m., Trina showed up. She was wearing a hoodie and big sunglasses, looking over her shoulder the whole time. She typed in a code, opened the unit, and pulled out a plastic tote. I saw her pull out a wad of cash and what looked like a box of checkbooks and prepaid debit cards. I took pictures from across the lot. License plate. Her face. The storage number. Everything. Then I followed her. She drove straight to Carlos's place. The next day, I went to the Tulsa police. I gave them everything. The fraud paperwork, the photos, my identity theft report, the IRS letters, the footage from a pawn shop camera I requested showing her selling my stuff. I even handed over the texts from Carlos's burner number. They listened. Carefully. A detective named Rawlings took down every detail. Then he said something I didn't expect. She's already on our radar. We've been investigating Carlos for months. But we didn't know your sister was involved. That was the crack in the door I needed. He asked me to wear a wire. Said if I could get her to admit to the fraud, to stealing my identity and forging my signature, they could take her and Carlos down together. I said yes. The next weekend, I drove to Tulsa. I called Trina from a gas station and said, we need to talk. I'm not mad. Just come meet me. She agreed. We met at a quiet diner on 21st Street. I had the wire on, hidden under my shirt. Detective Rawlings and 2 others were in a van down the block, listening in. Trina walked in like nothing had ever happened. Hair done up. Lip gloss. Same fake smile I'd seen my whole life. She sat down and said, I knew you'd come around. I stared at her. Just tell me the truth. She shrugged. Okay. Yeah, I took the money. You always had more than me, Curtis. This just evened it out. And the payday loans? The tax fraud. She rolled her eyes. You're really gonna cry about that? You'll bounce back. You always do. People like me don't get those chances. I had to take them. Then she laughed. You want your money back? Go get it from Carlos. I told him I was just using you. That you were soft. A walking wallet. My hands clenched under the table. Then she said the line that did it. Honestly, if I had to do it again, I'd take more. That was all they needed. The detective texted me, leave. Now. I got up, walked out without saying a word. 10 minutes later, I heard the sirens. They raided Carlos's place that night. Found stolen credit cards, forged documents, fake IDs, cash from 6 different victims, including a 78-year-old woman they'd scammed out of her pension. Trina was in the apartment with him, caught red-handed, holding a fake social security card and burner phone. They arrested both of them. Turns out the pregnancy? Fake. She'd used it to manipulate the shelter into protecting her. It wasn't the first time she pulled that trick. When they booked her, she screamed, called me a traitor, said I ruined her life. But it wasn't me. She did that all by herself. Lacey and I sat in the courtroom when the sentence was read. Carlos got 6 years federal. Trina got 4, 2 for identity theft, 2 for fraud. She cried when they took her away. I didn't. After the trial, I got a call from a woman I didn't know. She was Carlos's ex, said she'd heard what happened and wanted me to know I'd done the right thing. Then she told me something else. Carlos had been using Trina too, recording her, planning to blackmail me or worse. If I hadn't gone to the cops, I would have been next. 6 months later, I sold the house, moved to Columbia, Missouri, got a fresh start. I still fix trucks, still live quiet, still miss my dog, Duke. He passed during all the chaos. That part hurt more than anything. But I sleep better now. I kept one thing from Trina, a photo of us as kids. I don't hate the girl in that picture. I just hate what she became. I still think about her sometimes. Wonder if she'll ever change. But I'm not holding my breath. As for me, I learned something important. Some people don't need a second chance. They need consequences. And sometimes the best revenge is finally letting go.